sex trafficking is. Sex trafficking is a trade of humans, mostly for sexual purposes, slavery facing a labor and also getting their organs and tissues taken out of them for sale. Our focus today will be about Thailand. Thailand is located in Southeast Asia, and surrounding countries are Laos, Cambodia, Burma, and Vietnam. According to humantrafficking.org, the actions that Thailand government did was in 2010, the Prime Minister chaired meetings with the labor and civil society to organize and to coordinate anti-trafficking efforts, which led to the Thailand government's 6-year national policy to help prevent human trafficking from 2011 and 2010. To expand on the 6-year national Thailand government policy, the Thailand government's effort of trying to train all of its officials of police officers, immigration officers, social workers, prosecutors, and labor workers to help identify sex traffickers and sex trafficker victims. The other things that are a problem of this is that the sex traffickers have involvement in the police officer corruption, the human basis laws and human right laws in Thailand are not so great. Also, at the same time, laborers are hard to come across that actually will identify the problems. And also, another problem that appears in this are that the immigration officers will not report it and don't know how to rightfully identify sex trafficker laborers and their victims.
Here are some of the pros and cons that follow up on
to remember that Thailand has a completely different point of view on this issue. There's more to it. Socially, people do not frown upon this like Westerners would. Prostitution is just another job. It even pays more than menial jobs. Prostitutes get paid around $4,000 a month when regular jobs pay around $5,000 a year in Thai currency. Sex tourism has lifted millions of Thais from economic destitution. Thai prostitutes see Westerners as their financial providers. In Thailand, the eldest child is supposed to support the family financially, so they regularly go into prostitution in order to give the family a sense of prosperity that they would not have otherwise. Parents also usually go into sex trafficking because they want to be able to send their kids to college, and they don't want them to follow their steps. So this is why sex tourism and prostitution in Thailand is not frowned upon as much as it is here in the United States. People need to understand that this is a different
All of this
culture.
information was found on thaiexperience.org.
Today I'm going to talk to you guys about the negative aspects of sex trafficking. The first one being that prostitution creates crime against men, women, and children, and it becomes a commercial enterprise. It also becomes an assault when he or she is forced into prostitution to engage, and it becomes a business. According to the PolarisProject.com, what a pimp complies a prostitute to submit to sexual demands as a condition of employment is exploitation, sexual harassment, or rape acts that are based on the prostitution's compliance rather than his or her consent. According to the HuffingtonPost.com, prostitution as an institute is evil. It doesn't matter if he or she is the world's oldest profession, it is still wrong. Does legal prostitution lead to human trafficking and slavery? There are advantages associated with a repressive approach. Since such an approach does not distinguish between victims and an independent sex worker, and clients will not have to play a role as a potential source of information of trafficking.
Hello, my name is Arianna Woodley,
And I'm HIdalgo.
and today we're going to be doing a debate on the pros and cons of prostitution in
Thailand.
It's said in psychiatric times that, regardless of prostitution status, legal, illegal, or decriminalized, or its physical location, strip clubs, massage parlors, prostitution is extremely dangerous for women. Do you guys agree with that?
No. I think that prostitution is just basically a business, and the clients treat their victims as if they were a piece of meat.
You have to remember that culturally, Thailand thinks different than the US, and socially, prostitution is not frowned upon. They see it as another job because, as I said before, they pay the prostitutes at least $4,000 a month in Thai currency, when other jobs pay around $5,000 a year. So the prostitutes see the Western tourists as their financial providers. So even if it is frowned upon here in the United States, it's not necessarily frowned upon there, where it is happening.
Okay. Another thing that I found interesting was on prostitution.procon.org. Decriminalization would be better to protect people in the sex industry from violence and abuse. What do you guys think about that?
I agree, because if it was made illegal, they would be checked for STDs and all of those sorts of things. But now, since it is illegal, they're still doing it, and they could get sick or even killed if they have abusive clients. But because if it was decriminalized, it would work as a proper business, as how Thais currently see it. Any comments, Ari?
I think that either way, it would still be it's like I said before, it's a business. Either way, it would still be bad for the victims.
Based off this previous debate, if you were a victim or if your child was a victim of sex trafficking, would you feel satisfied with the way the Thai government has handled these issues? If the United States got involved, would that offer some type of protection? Should legislation get involved? Would you feel satisfied with the way things have played out?
Does anybody have?
Stop, you can't say that, Ari.
That's wild. I don't even
You
know.
are reckless, Arianna.
Based off this previous debate, should the victims of sex trafficking feel satisfied with the way the Thai government has handled these situations? If this was you, or if your child was put in this,